Have you walked through Goshen lately? I walked through Goshen this morning. There are children everywhere, everywhere. This is not normal. This is not natural. Something has to be done. They came here as 70 souls, my grandfather told me. Joseph's people, hungry from the famine years. We took them in, we gave them land in Goshen, and they were grateful, small and grateful back then. But that was then. I walked the market yesterday and counted. Every third face was a Hebrew face I'd never seen. Their babies fill the streets like water fills a basin. Where are they all coming from? How can there be this many? Have you heard what they're saying in the palace? The new king doesn't remember what Joseph did. He sees the numbers and he sees a problem. He sees an army that we haven't dealt with yet. How are there so many? How are there so many? We gave them Goshen and they filled it to the brim. How are there so many? How are there so many? Something in their blood just will not let us win. We have to be smart now, we have to move carefully before they join our enemies and drive us from our land. How are there so many? How are there so many? Someone tell me, how do we get this underhand? So we put them to work, hard work, real work, the kind that bends the back and breaks the will. Bricks and mortar, Pithom and Ramesses rising. We thought the labor would at least slow them still. And for a season it seemed like it was working. The quotas climbed and the whips came down. But then the census numbers came back from Goshen, and I swear the count was higher than before. This doesn't make sense. We doubled up the workload, we took their grain, we took their resting days. A beaten people should be shrinking, should be fading, but every morning Goshen fills with children's voices anyway. How are there so many? How are there so many? We broke their backs and still the numbers climb. How are there so many? How are there so many? These people multiply like it's by design. We have to go further now, we have to think harder. The labor camps were not enough to stop this thing. How are there so many? How are there so many? What kind of God do these Hebrews have? What kind of God do they bring? Send for the midwives, Shifra and Puah. Give them the order quietly, no public decree. When a Hebrew woman labors and delivers, if it's a son, let the river have him quietly. We waited for the numbers to come back different. We waited for the crying in the streets to thin. But Shifra and Puah came back with an answer. The Hebrew women deliver before we arrive. We never get there in time. And what could we say to that? What could we do with that? To women with no army, no palace, no power, stood between a throne and what a throne commanded, and the throne, for a moment, had nothing. So Pharaoh made it public, no more quiet orders. He told the whole of Egypt, throw them in the Nile. Every Hebrew son, every newborn, every infant, let the river solve what the labor camps could not. And the people obeyed, some eagerly, some grimly. Some looked away and told themselves it wasn't theirs to bear. But in the houses of Goshen something kept on happening, something we could not explain and could not stop. How are there so many? How are there so many? We've thrown our every plan against this thing. How are there so many? How are there so many? You think that someone greater was protecting them? We have the army, we have the river, we have the palace, we have every tool that power's ever known. How are there so many? How are there so many? And why does every plan we make just seem to make them more? The new king did not know Joseph, but someone knew the new king. Someone had been watching Goshen long before Pharaoh started counting. And the more Egypt pressed down, the more they multiplied and spread. You can't outplan the one who wrote the plan.